Hey guys, it's Lynn. So today I'm going to do a little bit of a an explanation, I guess, video, or this versus that, I guess you could say. It's not the this versus that, this or that tag or anything, but I have gotten asked so many times over the course of my life, um, you know, what's the difference between depression and being depressed every once in a while or getting depressed? Um, as some of you might know, I've struggled with depression pretty much my whole life. And, oh, sorry, my phone. Um, I've got people that are like more interested in exactly what causes it or how it works. And other people are more like, well, just wake up and during the day and, just be like, hey, I'm going to have a good day. I'm going to be happy. And then like tell yourself to be happy and boom, your depression is cured. And that's not the way it is with depression, like clinical depression. Clinical depression is a mixture of a few things, but the main component is a somewhat genetic predisposition to having a lack of chemicals that help your brain transmit messages. If you guys have ever taken a biology class, you'll know that messages in your brain go from chemical or like electrical to chemical back to electrical because they have to cross a synapses, which is the space in between two nerve endings. And some of those chemicals, like serotonin, norepinephrine, stuff like that, they are the chemicals that help make those transitions. And when people have clinical depression, their body lacks a certain amount of, or in some cases, may have very, very little of those chemicals. So they could just wake up and say, I'm going to be happy, but it wouldn't work because telling yourself to be happy isn't going to make up for the lack of chemicals that help transmit messages in your brain. And everybody gets depressed at some point in their life. I mean, you lose your job, you get an F on a test, or you break up with your boyfriend, girlfriend, or anything like that. You have a loss in the family, anything like that can get people depressed. It can. I mean, cabin fever during the winter, that's actually a form of depression that's caused by a lack of vitamin D, believe it or not. I mean, some people who have depression anyway get prescribed or are recommended to buy these lights. They're just like regular table lamps, but the bulbs that they come with produce the same light as the sun, kind of like a grow lamp or whatever for plants that you're supposed to sit under for like an hour a day, because then it'll help alleviate some of that depression during the winter. Because a lot of times, when you have cabin fever and you don't have depression, yeah, you get depressed. Well, if you have depression and winter comes along and you live in a state like Minnesota, like I do, we get our already, we already have depression, and then bam, cabin fever just makes it worse. Well, I have done a lot of things to try and help with the depression. I was in therapy from the time I was 8 years old until I was about 15, and I was able to, I was feeling comfortable enough with myself to not need the therapy anymore. But for me, the therapy alone wasn't working. So I had been, working with my doctor with getting all of my medications. And I know that makes me sound like such a druggie, but I'm really not. We had tried out different combinations of a antidepressant, and they found out that I am a little bit of an insomniac, so I needed a medication to help me sleep at night. And there were so many different combinations that just we had gone through over and over and over again with different, different kinds of them. But it wasn't until a few years ago now that we actually got the right combination of medications that I needed worked out. And then it was probably the start of my senior year in high school that I was actually diagnosed with ADHD, and they gave me more medication for that. And since then, my life has been 140 billion% better. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to promote taking medication for depression. I mean, obviously, if you consult with your doctor and that's what you decide, then go for it. Try it out, because it worked for me. I can't say for everybody else. Also, there are environmental factors too, besides just the lack of vitamin D and whatever. I mean, if you're in an environment where there's constantly fighting and constantly negativity and people are constantly putting you down, that's going to cause some depression too. And when it gets that bad, then your self-esteem is not going to help you out trying to get out of that rut either. So, there's differences between it. I mean, like I said, on one hand, you can get depressed just from anything, but with depression, it's lifelong, and it just won't go away on its own. I can tell when it gets really bad for me, because I'll feel like I just want to cry all the time, and I feel like jumping out of my skin, and I hate it, and there's no reason for it. Like, I know I should not feel like I want to cry, but it's because of that chemical imbalance, and because of that portion of it, that I just can't stop feeling like that. And obviously, if you look it up on the internet or anything, they'll tell you the same thing, that depression is a chemical imbalance in the brain when it comes to clinical depression. Now, I'm not saying just because you have a loss in the family, you're automatically going to lose chemicals in your brain that help you be happy. That's not the way it is. I'm sure it could happen, because depression is caused by something, but I've had a lot of people, tell me, well, just be happy, or just genuinely ask and be curious about it. But I mean, it really is different for everybody. I mean, for me, there was a lot of issues in my past that, some of you who know me will know what I'm talking about. And there were also issues at school. I was bullied, and I've got a video on my story of being bullied all throughout school. And you know what? Even to this day, people still, they still treat me like shit in some cases because of their perception of who I am. Now, regardless if any of that is true, it still makes a person feel like crap. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not, because it doesn't make anybody feel good. But when you've got somebody that has depression, and people are getting down on you, that's when the thoughts of suicide come in. And again, I think I put that in my bullying video. Mickey, sorry, someone's home. Mickey, my mom and my brother are home, so I'll wrap it up. But yeah. If you have any other questions about depression or how to deal with it, you can leave a comment down below. If you don't feel comfortable asking, on a YouTube channel, you can always email me, message me, or hit up my Twitter or my Facebook. See ya.